Hi, and welcome to the Handbag Designer 101 podcast with your host, Emily Blumenthal, handbag designer expert and handbag fairy godmother, where we cover everything about handbags from making, marketing, designing, and talking to handbag designers and industry experts about what it takes to make a successful handbag. Shelby Wilder, welcome to Handbag Designer 101, the podcast. Shelby, handbag authenticator to the stars, and if not the stars, well, clearly I'm sure the people you're authenticating bags that don't want to know that they're getting their bags authenticated. This is a hot topic. Welcome. I am excited. I hope you're more excited because then I just look silly. So...
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. Thanks for having me on today. I'm very excited to have this conversation. Handbags are a passion, a love of mine, and ready to dig in.
Oh, boy. So are you a labels girl, and have you always been?
Actually, I'm not. I'm not a labels girl. I am actually the opposite, and meaning I love to thrift, right? Like I don't have to have a label. I'd rather have a well-constructed garment or bag or, what have you. So it doesn't have to be a label for me. I like timeless things that just, stand the test of time and that look good. So yes, not a labels girl, but I do have my favorites, when it comes to labels in terms of handbags. Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure, if you go back 10 years, even 5 years, even pre-pandemic, this construct of the circular economy, meaning buying old versions of bags, wasn't as hot as it is. And I always said that if you were ever going to go to a flea market, the bag that you'd be most likely to find would be a Coach bag, like a Coach bag, probably pre-Sara Lee, before they were acquired and bought it back, because, their whole story was that it was baseball mitt leather, and therefore, baseball mitts, it's like leather is a skin. So it gets that lovely shine, wear, and tear. Mm-hmm. But, nowadays, like any bag that people bought with their hard-earned cash could now be recycled, resold, repurposed of some shape or form. So let's get into, your story of handbags, how you fell into this and how you are an authenticator and what are some things we can look for. And of course, as independent designers, is there an opportunity to potentially get your bag to that circular market, or what can people do to construct their bag so it can stand that test of time?
Yeah.
So let's get started to your handbag journey, Shelby.
Yeah. So my handbag journey, where did it all begin?
Where did it all begin? Take us back.
Where did it all begin? My grandmother.
It's always a grandmother.
Is where it started. And she was never a labels girl or anything, but she always bought nice things, right?
Always put together.
Always put together. And my grandmother purchased this really beautiful wicker bag from a estate sale or garage sale. She paid 25 cents for it, okay? Yep. Very beautiful wicker bag. It has this gold plate on it, beautiful handle. It's gold and black, just beautiful, just a beautiful thing to look at.
An iteration that Kate Spade put out, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's really beautiful. And, as time went on, she just kind of passed this bag down to me. And I probably got my hands on it maybe around 13 or 14. And so that's where it started, because I felt that this was such a beautiful piece to carry around, and it was something that I was very happy to have because it was from her. But I could also just appreciate the craftsmanship, the look of it, all of that. So that's where my initial, love for handbags started to happen. And then as time went on, of course, being in high school, there are a lot of, people that are into the labels, and you kind of see what your friends are wearing. And so that's kind of how I got introduced to more.
Isn't it ironic, though, because everyone's carrying a backpack and then a bag.
But they have a bag, right.
With it, right.
Yeah. So, of course, you always, I've always known of, Louis Vuitton and, Chanel. And I had always known that, but I didn't appreciate it like, what it was probably until I was in high school and seeing everyone kind of like rocking their bags. And so true story, in high school is when I kind of got the bug of wanting to like wear what everyone else was wearing, right? Like wearing the, the bags. And of course, most of the kids in my school were not wearing authentic bags, right? And so, getting my hands on an authentic bag at that time was like,
Gucci was called Mochi.
Yeah, it was not happening. But, we found our way to, get these replica bags. And so, I had a couple of those in high school. When I got to college, though, it was kind of like, I had experiences where these bags fell apart on me, and I was just like, this is crap, right? Like, I started to feel like, I really want to like step it up, elevate, and like really
respect.
Yeah. And like really carry something that's nice, even if I just have one nice bag.
Yeah.
So that is when I really started to like appreciate, like, just wanting to carry the real thing, I guess. And so my first bag, like a lot of other women, was a Speedy, was a LV. That was my first purchase, right?
Why?
And it just felt good.
Why?
Right?
Why?
Yeah.
Why that one?
Why? I think because it was probably the one that you see the most and you thought it was the it bag at that time. So we're talking
2000 and
early 2000s. Yeah.
Or actually, it's earlier. That's 2003, 4.
I say right 2003, 2002. Yeah. We're talking early 2000s. And so that was the first one. And it, the saying goes, when you kind of like get that first one, you get that itch and then you're like wanting more. But then I got intrigued by like really understanding like what is it about this bag, right, that is so detailed, so particular, so real compared to all the fake crap that I was wearing. And that's when I started to like really study and, really, I was reading books and, trying to really figure it out. Now, I mentioned earlier that I'm a thrifter. So I wanted to know, like, how can I, get some of these real bags from the thrift store, because I would see them, but I didn't know how to authenticate them. I want to start to do that. Like, I want to save money, right? But also carry a fabulous bag that's real and be able to authenticate.
So you got this Speedy. Do you remember how much you paid? Because that's a key point.
Yeah, I paid at that time. It was around $795. Yep.
So
that was $700 in the 700 range. Yeah.
So you were in college?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of money.
It is.
Period. Yeah. Like, I don't care how old you are. That's a lot of money. So I assume you must have been 19, 20 for that purchase. So how did you save that money? How did you justify saving it for this? Because the mindset of this is very, very specific.
It is. I worked in college. So I had a job on campus working in the student equity office. And then I also worked in we had like a little convenience store.
So this is a 2-job purchase.
Yeah. We had like a little convenience store on campus. And so I worked both of those jobs.
So that's like 12 an hour approximately. So that's like at least
it probably wasn't like 12 an hour.
If that. Yeah. So that's like a 3-semester purchase.
Yeah. It took some time to save up, but I managed it, and
that's impressive.
Yeah.
So when you told said family members, because they saw you with said purchase, knowing that you were working and going to school, was there pushback? Like, what the hell's wrong with you, or well done?
No, it was more of a well done, because I didn't have to ask anyone for anything, and I'm still going to school, taking care of business, maintaining, my grades. I'm keeping up with what I need to do on an academic, level. And so it was really a reward to myself for not only the hard work that I'm like doing in school, but also the hard work to earn the money, right?
Yep.
So,
well done. So I'm putting that right back. So
okay.
So now we are thrifting. We have our $795 Speedy bag. Then what?
Yeah. So that Speedy bag really was the construct for me to like really like understand how to break down a bag. And that's a terminology that we used a lot when I worked years later at StockX, how to break down a bag. So I literally turned that bag inside out, investigated you can do that with the Speedy. It's very pliable.
Yeah. Did you start taking notes? Like,
yeah, I mean, more mental maybe.
Right.
Because again, I'm a thrifter, so I'm really like mentally keeping things in mind in terms of construction, detail, heat stamping, all of those things that make a bag a bag, right?
Yeah.
So I would do that and then start to compare to like friends, replica bags and things like that, right? Just to understand the craftsmanship. So that is where the intrigueness came in terms of wanting to understand and know what makes a bag authentic. And from there, it just went on. I have thrifted at least, I would say, about maybe 8 authentic bags that I
wild.
was able to,
What brands?
I've thrifted Prada, I've thrifted Chanel, Louis Vuitton.
Were these estate sales or like random? Because that's where I would assume you'd find them.
Yeah, so not estate sales, surprisingly. I have been to a number of estate sales where I've seen real items, whether it's bag or shoes, and typically it's overpriced. And so I just leave those.
Of course.
Yeah. But no, these are regular old thrift stores that I got lucky. And it just, being able to teach myself how to authenticate the bag.
What state was this in?
In Michigan.
Gotcha. Because that also tells the story too.
Yeah. And also, Emily, we're talking I guess, popularity time frame when people weren't thrifting the way that they are now.
Yeah.
We
people
have
are
a lot
hungry now.
Yeah. People are now, everyone's a thrifter, right?
Yeah.
Everyone loves
Isn't that
vintage.
annoying?
Everyone loves thrifting.
It is so, listen,
it's very annoying.
It's so annoying because, listen, when I started my handbag line and having tried to sell my bag to every single major retailer, higher end, I got such PTSD walking into department stores because either they bought my bag, they didn't buy my bag, they were thinking about buying my bag. And I was so used to shopping from a retail anthropological point of view. Like, how are they shopping? What are they doing? That I physically could not go into a store boutique without getting like stressed, that I organically ended up going to vintage thrift. And that's literally where all my stuff started coming from. I started redesigning my dresses, and the smell of like wet nastiness became so comforting. I was like, oh, I'm home. Here we go. I can find something.
I know.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Thrifting for me is so therapeutic. It really is. And there is nothing like being able to go find something, whether it's a bag, a great pair of boots, or a dress, or a coat.
The hunt.
The hunt is so satisfying.
Yeah. And then you see all these other people, and I'm like, don't be a bottom feeder. Get out.
Yeah,
and then, you don't belong here. I hate it.
You don't. But I do too. I hate it too.
We would like high five. It's unbelievable. So so you're in Michigan, you're hustling, you found these bags. So then you're kind of educating yourself in terms of like, here's these unique points that make these particular bags what they are. Now, did you call out said friends saying like, P.S. you got, yours isn't real, or you just said it to yourself? Because I would think about that. Just saying.
Yeah, I would just say it to myself. One particular story, I had a friend. This is when I had worked at StockX for 2 years. So from about 2017 to 2019. And I had a friend that she was so convinced that a bag that an aunt of hers had was a real Hermes bag. And I'm like, she showed me the bag, and I'm like, no. And so did try to explain to her why that bag wasn't real, but she's like, no, she paid this amount for it, this and that. And so I'm like,
let people live.
I'm just gonna let
denial.
I'm
happy there.
You live with that. So I don't try to convince anyone that their bag is or isn't right. I just kind of like, mental note for me, if they let me check it out, then I can.
Also, that person can be played, so it's good to remember that too.
Yeah.
So you became this like expert thrifter. You had these bags.
Mhm.
At what point did you start saying like, oh, I can do this, or, oh, I think I'm an expert? Like, how did this manifest into you being a proper authenticator?
Yeah. I think when I really felt confident that I was like a proper authenticator is from the training that I got when I went to StockX. So what they did is sent me, I was lead handbag authenticator. And at the time that I started working there, the handbag arm of the business, if you will, was just starting up. So
Because StockX is known for shoes.
they are known for, for sneakers. Exactly. Yeah. So we had the sneakers going, but then they were starting up the handbag and then the watches. And so I was at the beginning stages of that all.
Oh,
so
wow.
Fortunately, I got to get a lot of training through the Real. They had this one class that you could take virtually. And so we went through a lot of, different trainings. Again, how to break down a bag, every pretty much label that you can think of. And even for those labels that are more unknown, if you will, just what to be on the lookout for, leather grain, again, construction, just a number of things. And so I think after that time that I spent going through, those different trainings and actually going out to some of the sites to look at, their warehouse operations and things like that, and seeing more things for myself and holding it and feeling it, that is when I felt like, okay, I definitely can tell now, real versus fake,
Can
and
you call out some, like if you can throw in some labels, what are some key things that people should look for? Like, Louis, Chanel, like just some things that people could look out for and saying, here's some things that you should think about.
Yeah. A very easy one for me is the serial code on a Chanel bag, right? A dead giveaway is the the fonts of the numbers. A dead giveaway is the font of the numbers. So, Chanel is very specific on the numbers having like a strike through on the zeros, a serif like underline under the one. So you have the one with the line under it. The numbers are always, have these certain distinct, characteristics to them. We see a number of Chanel bags that are not authentic and they have these serial codes in them and the numbers are way off, right? So that is a very an easy way to tell if you're looking at Chanel, like you may think, and some people are very convinced, like, oh, but this bag is real leather. Well, they're doing a better job of
100%
bags, right? They're calling them one-to-ones, or there's another name for them too. And they're making them with real leather. They're using better materials like the grommets or the chains and things like that to pull them together. They are doing that. But there are so many other distinct things to look for. And in the Chanel, for the Chanel brand, if you look at that serial number and it's, not the right strike throughs on the zeros or the ones doesn't have like the serif underline, the way that the two is shaped, it's a dead giveaway that it's not authentic.
If you ever wanted to start a handbag line and didn't know where to start, this is for you.
Living proof that independent designers can make it big.
Emily Blumenthal is one prime example.
If you had dreams of becoming a handbag designer and didn't know where to start, this is for you. If you have a handbag brand and are in need of strategy and direction, this is for you. I'm Emily Blumenthal, handbag fairy godmother and handbag designer expert, and this is Handbag Designer 101, the masterclass. Over the next 10 classes, I will break down everything you need to know how to make, market, and manufacture a handbag. Broken down for you that you'll not only skip steps in that handbag building process, but also save money in that learning curve. For the past 20 years, I've been teaching at the top fashion universities in New York City, created the Handbag Awards, and also the Handbag Designer 101 podcast.
I'm going to show you, like, I have countless brands from sketch to sample to shelf, whether you're just starting out and don't know where to begin, or even if you have a handbag line and just need some strategic direction, the Handbag Designer 101 Masterclass is just for you. So let's get started, and you will be the creator of the next it bag. Join me, Emily Blumenthal, with the Handbag Designer 101 Masterclass.
I had a friend that was getting his girlfriend a Louis bag, and I know certain Louis bags don't have lining, and this bag had a lining, and I'm like, he's like, oh, it's lined. I said, then I don't think it's real because they don't line those bags. And he said, well, isn't it better that it's lined? And I said, well, not if she wants a real one. And just those nuances are so valuable. And,
they are.
And to point out, a lot of times these replicas are made, and people don't even know this, are made out of pig leather, which is a lot cheaper. And if treated, can actually mirror that of cow leather and so forth. Not lamb, because lamb is very thin and fine and lightweight. But it's a lot of things that people don't even realize. Like, that's, you have a pig leather bag, truly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Another one I want to point out, Emily, I think people think that if they have, like, there's like, I know I've seen this with Louis Vuitton specifically, there's these little plastic tags that come on fake bags that Louis Vuitton, fake Louis Vuitton bags. And people have, like, I remember going back and forth. This was with someone at StockX who was very convinced that this bag was real because it had this little plastic ring, like, attached to it. And I'm like, if that isn't a dead giveaway, like, when have you ever walked into the Louis Vuitton store and seen anything plastic, hanging?
Like a Swift tag, like a kind of,
Yeah. And I'm like, these designer bags, like, when you go into the store, you don't see tags hanging from anything. You've never gone into Vuitton or, Hermes, or you've never seen tags hanging from anything, right? Like, someone brings the product out to you and they'll open it up. And usually there's, like, I know for Chanel, at least, there's like a little paper thing inserted inside that'll have the price on it. But everything is very buttoned up, very,
clean.
Discreet and clean. But that's another giveaway. Like, if you see any tags hanging, plastic, it's not real. I can guarantee you it's not real. So just another one to throw out there.
Because, like, I have friends that have had old Chloe bags or Dior bags. I'm just, like, thinking of the shape and so forth, the Sex and the City bags.
Yeah.
Are these bags that people should consider selling, or is it because the market is so flooded with bags like this that it's almost not even worth it at this point?
That's a good question. I think it's dependent upon, like, what you feel like you would want to, like, if you have an affinity for keeping that bag, if it's near and dear to your heart, keep it. But if you don't think that it's something that you feel like you can utilize, or you don't really love it anymore, then I think it's dependent on the person. I myself, for some of those older it bags, I've let them go. Like, that Speedy is no longer a part of my collection. I tend to like the things that bring me, like, that stand the test of time, one that's purposeful and useful, but that I really like to look at, right? And so, and I feel like there's, like, a time, like, the Speedy was a time for me. Even my Neverfull, like, I still have it, but I don't rock it, like, it's kind of like a dusty bag at this point. But, like, some of the bags that I do love and cherish, I know I'll never sell, is, like, my Chanel wallet on a chain, Chanel Walk. Like, that's a special bag to me. I have a Coach bag that I really like. It's not the tabby, but it has puffy C on it. It's like a satchel. I don't know the exact name for that. I really love that. So the things that I really, really love and I don't want to part with because, they're just special to me, I'll keep them. Whether it's a older Sex and the City type bag or something that is newer. So I think that it just depends on the person if they want to part with it or not.
Is there from a handbag authenticator expert eye, do you think, people buy toys and they keep them in the packaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that at some point they'll have value. Those knuckleheads don't even end up selling them. They just keep them in the packaging, which to me, why buy something if you're not going to play with it?
I agree.
So if you're making an investment, a proper investment in these bags, because $700 from, 2004 is today's $1,500.
Exactly. The bag is double. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How can people use their bags? Because bags are, they're an extension of who we are. We abuse them. We use them. Mm-hmm. How can somebody take care of their bag in order to preserve its value without saying, I'm not going to sacrifice my life for this particular item?
Well, here's the thing. I'm a firm believer. I'm like you, Emily. Toys are meant to be played with. Your bags are meant to be carried, right?
Exactly.
And I know that, we spend a lot of money for these things, and you want to make sure that you are preserving them and not messing them up, but you also should be enjoying them. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you have to beat it around and sling it and stuff like that,
fill it with rocks.
Literally, fill it up with stuff, intentionally, right? I'm not saying that, but do understand that you get one life to live, right? You buy this expensive bag.
Why have a few? Just so you know.
Yeah. Why not carry it? Why not enjoy it? And know that, it may get a little tiny scratch on it. It may get, a little ding on it. The leather may scuff or whatnot. But you're supposed to enjoy it and carry it. And I have sent a number of bags to leather surgeons, that needed a little bit of pick me up after a while. The Chanel Walk is one of them. It's one of my favorites. Again, it's the Chanel Walk Camellia, the floral print. That bag has been beat up because it's like an everyday bag. The corners have, got worn. I've sent it out to leather surgeons. They've given it a bath, right? Yeah, and brought it back to life. And, I go from there. So I personally think that if you are trying to preserve it, right? If you're trying to make sure that it stays just as pristine as it was the day you bought it, then you probably should buy it because you're supposed to wear it and enjoy it. That's my personal opinion. So, but keep in mind though, I keep my bags out on display. So I have them stored on a shelf. But if you're the type of person that is very extra careful and you don't want them to get dusty or, the leather to be compromised in any kind of way, then, store them in their proper dust bags and, put them in the box if you want, or just store them in the dust bag.
Work.
Yeah, and do that. But me personally, I like to see what I have and, just grab it. If I'm playing with outfits, I might throw on a bag.
Yeah.
That one doesn't work, so I toss it and put on another one. But preservation for the bag, I say just wear the damn bag. Just wear it. Yeah.
You brought up leather surgeons. Mm-hmm. So what's that?
Okay. So leather surgeons is a specialty company. Yeah, a specialty company that the only thing that they do is repair bags, right? And these would be designer bags. They do everything under the sun from your Chloe, your LV, everything, right? Hermes. So they can dye your bag. They can repair a bag that has been badly damaged. Even if, say, for instance, it has ripped, they can do that. They can take a bag from, years past and what they call it, they give it a spa. They have a spa service, and then they can just revive the leather on it and all of that. And so, it is a very good company that specializes in treating your bags. And if you, have some scratches or something like that on them that bothers you, you can send it to them and they'll fix it.
Do you recommend,
very reputable,
much like, tidying up a home before you sell it, do you recommend that people take their bags to a bag spa leather surgeon to get it cleaned up before sale?
Very good question.
Because I assume you have to do a cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah, I'm going to say it is an expense, right? So you're looking, depending on what you're having done to your bag, at minimum, you're looking at about $200, right?
Yeah.
That's for the typical spa service. I think that if people are interested in reselling their bags, I would say just sell it as is. Yeah, just resell it. I don't know that I would want to put that money into a bag that I'm getting rid of.
Right.
You know, and in my opinion, I mean, the market for some of these bags, like the older bags, are like, they're up there. Like, especially with Chanel bags, like vintage Chanel bags, like you can really get a good penny for, you know, like an older bag now. So I wouldn't want to put that extra money in it just to sell it. I'd
not
say
even worth it.
Yeah, not worth it.
Okay, so. That is an expert call. So I want to ask you, just to round this out, if you are an independent designer, I hate using the word emerging. It's like that word gives me the cringe, because if you've been doing your brand for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, like I'd like to think that, or you should think that you've emerged already. Like, how long is the period to come out of the chrysalis, you know? What are things that designers can think about, given the potential that they could be a bag at some point that could be resold? So what are some minor details that designers should take into consideration with construction and so forth to give them that opportunity? Like you had said, Chanel has the numbers, but I think that extra labor would be very costly.
Yeah.
So there's some minor nuances that they can do.
Yeah. My thought, Emily, on that is construction is key. Aside from construction, making sure that what you're using to construct is key. So what I'm saying, materials, right? It doesn't have to be like, not everyone's producing a leather bag, right? So whatever, even if it's like, you know, canvas material or, you know, some fabric, just make sure that it is durable. You know, you want it to feel good. You want it to look good. You want it to stand up, right? Like, I've been that girl where bags have like fallen apart. That's, you know, not cool. So I would say construction is key, and just using good materials and really, really paying attention to the small details, right? So I talked about earlier, like, you know, grommets and on the bags, and, you know, even the clasp, if you have a bag with even the zipper or the pull, just making sure that those things are good materials, I guess, you know, and shiny too, so that they can stand out. Yeah.
I just want to give a call out to that, because a couple things. One, so many designers are nuts and think that I need to get leather from Italy. It must be Italian leather. Number one,
doesn't have to be.
That is fan fiction. A lot of times the leather is actually bought from China, because has been a shortage of leather. So it just needs to be good quality leather. It doesn't necessarily need to be from Italy. That's number one. Number two, do you think if it's a canvas bag, it needs to be coated canvas? Do you think that's the case? Like a Louis bag is coated canvas. It's still canvas, but it's coated. So
it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. I just think that it needs to be good canvas. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be coated. I think any emerging designer, right, should just want to make sure that if I was designing a handbag, I would want to design something that I know that I would want to obviously carry, but that would be, you know, nicely made. And so if that means that it's a canvas bag, but it's not coated, but the canvas is like really nice, and I've put the special details on it to pull it all together, and the construction is there and it looks good, I'm carrying it, right? So, and I think people appreciate when they spend their money, you know, when they spend a lot of money on something that actually feels and looks good and stands the test of time. So that's, you know, there are some designer bags out there that aren't well made, you know, and they're costing, you know, thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So my point is, you know, for an emerging handbag designer, I'd rather give you, you know, that amount of money for something that is just well made. That's not, you know, I'm not going to be sending it back. I think that just paying attention to the materials you're using and the construction is very key. That's the advice that I would give.
And you had commented on something before, and a lot of designers tend to forget about this, is the merchandising of a bag, that it must be able to stand on its own.
Yes.
That the bag needs to have some sort of structure that it can stand without you. I always say, like, treat your bag like a baby giraffe. Like, as soon as it's born, it can stand up. It needs to be able to hold on its own. And if it needs a T-stand to give it its DNA, then your value immediately goes down, because you are going to need whomever is selling your bag to invest in as something additional, or you're going to have to be the one who's going to sell it yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the truth is, like, fast fashion is everywhere. It has taken over. So you're competing with all the fast fashion bags that are out there, right?
Yeah.
And we know that whether it comes from H&M or Zara or wherever, that those bags are what they are. So my thing is to set yourself apart. If you spend that extra time, energy, money, commitment to making sure that your stuff is, again, to your point, standing the test of time, it's standing up on its own.
Yeah.
That is what's going to make the difference, in someone like myself who likes handbags, purchasing a fast fashion bag versus, coming over to Emily and buy one of her beautifully constructed bags. Like, because I know that it's going to be something that's going to be a forever bag. It's going to be one of those bags that I'm not going to want to part with.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Do you think a Telfar bag at this point would count for something that could or needs to be authenticated? Because those bags aren't even leather.
They're not leather. I don't think that Telfar bags are something that, like, I don't even know how to say this. I don't think it needs to be authenticated. I think that when you see them, whether they're real or fake, they look the same. But that's my opinion, okay? That's just my opinion. When you see a Telfar bag, and I have one bag. I have one Telfar bag. When I look at my bag, which is a real one, and I've looked at other bags that have come off of platforms that, lets me know that they're not real, I don't see a difference. So that just goes to show, back to that quality, craftsmanship, DNA, the test of the DNA. I respect the brand itself, but I don't think that it's quite there in terms of all of those things that I just mentioned.
Right. Wow. Shelby, this has been eye-opening. I know we are going to have you back. And I think we're just going to have like episodes dedicated for a brand, because this is a toe in the water conversation, because there's so much to talk about. So
yeah.
I mean, this has been so exciting, Shelby. How can people follow up with you? Are you okay if people reach out? Is that okay?
Yes, I am on Instagram. My Instagram page is Shelby.Wilder. So that's SHELBY.WILDER on Instagram. So you can follow me there. I'm not on any other platforms at the moment, but I am, my page is open to the masses. So
amazing. Well, I know this is our first of many chats. Thank you so much for being part of Handbag Designer 101, the podcast. This has been a dream. Thank you so much. And we will see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and review and follow us on every single platform at Handbag Designer. Thanks so much. See you next time.